Aloha, makanani ko inoa. Ai inohoma o ka pai aina na pu'uhonua mukupuni ko he lama o kanaloa. The hui that was called for some of the initiatives that have been occurring are very concerned, especially for those who have never heard, do not know on how entitlements of our children, our family, are directly impacting and affecting our identity. How are we connected through our culture and heritage to land? To the ocean, to place. Nu'uanu, as the hui today discussed earlier in the video, were by residents, by organizations, Hawaiian Home Association members, by residents that are living in the valley, with some of the concerns that a bill that Inouye and the federal government, especially at the federal legislative level in Congress, are trying to create more economic opportunities for educational purposes of our heritage and our culture. Some of those concerns, especially for me, and I do not live or have a mailing address in Nu'uanu, but have family, have a concern over the use of our language, especially ahu pua'a. The majority of the public that are born and raised are not directly connected with our heritage and culture as Kanaka Maoli, Hawaiians, Native Hawaiians, on how land affects our claimants, especially through land awards, through the mahele for entitlements, such as crown and ceded lands. As an example, settlement by the federal and the state government on what are our children and our family entitlements to the resources of these lands as well as in the oceans. Kaho'olawe is, by example, an organization, the Protect Kaho'olawe Ohana, that I am with, in its entirety a mokupuni of crown and ceded lands. You might say an initiative to try and ho'oponopono on the apology bill, reconciliation and redress, was a major stepping stone in recognizing our entitlements. $400 million, a promise of 10 years, with the money left from the clean island and what was to be given, returned to a sovereign entity, never occurred. The oceans were never clean. You might say history repeating itself like the coup d'etat or a provisional government funded by and supported by the military, federal government, the United States military, through the Department of Defense, by Inouye, has in question, after billions of dollars of 911 and war, looked at what is not clean, have yet to be returned back to a sovereign in its island entirety. Concerns by Maui families in Ahupua'a as claimed tenants, going back to the land mahele of Honuaula, have concerns when the state government with the federal government and their funding are attempting to change traditional boundaries of Ahupua'a and Ilis and the smaller divisions. Kaho'olawe is just a small part of what Nu'uanu could set as an example over jurisdiction to be enforced for the sake of education of a culture and heritage. That is something very scary when we look at the Interior Department through its National Parks program, where you have a toll booth almost by demand of financial, monetary exchanging monies in order to look at our sacred sites and our religious sites and our culture and our heritage, which is not at times presented on how and who we are and what we do here as caretakers, as Hawai'i. I have some concerns. Again, I'm very concerned because when Iolani Palace, which is the beginning of an introduction of economic opportunity to educate the culture and heritage and history of a people, Kanaka Maoli, Native Hawaiians, is now attempting in a larger boundary of jurisdiction to include Mauna Ala and Kaniakapupu. We continue to go to these sacred sites to continue to have ceremony for the iwi of our kupuna and for those sacred places that have recognized the ohana and the maka'ainana, especially Kanaka Maoli, the host culture, not as a guest. And so I would kindly like for some form of redress, not just in the settlement, so that some honesty and some pono decision can be made by the communities, especially by the native Kanaka Maoli Hawaiian community, because it is through their identity in their relation to place, through the mahele, through the land and the oceans and its resources, that we have found the federal government, the state government, the county government continuing to steal our trust assets, our lands and resources. We need everyone to come to Kaho'olawe. We need everyone to come to Kaniakapupu. We need everyone to remember and to come to Mauna Ala and Iolani Palace. We are going to be having a ku'e, one that will remember Laukapalili, the taro that is coming up at Iolani Palace in a few weeks. We hope all of you will be there. It is not a demonstration, a forced demonstration, but it is one of a love by each and every one of us that we will ku'i, the kalo, and we will malama, the ohana, if not, for not, nothing less best, but for our children, never to forget. Aloha aina, malama aina, ku'i.
Oh, mahalo, and your name, please?
Maka, from Kaho'olawe.
They can get in touch with you if they'd like to learn a little bit more about your mana'o.
I'm normally voyaging on the voyaging canoes with Hokulea, but I'm heading for Kaho'olawe. I'll be there for the spring break up to about 10 days. And whenever I'm not on Kaho'olawe or on the voyaging canoe, I'm at Papalo'i or Kanewai, or in Kahana, or Punalu, or back on the Aina in the Lo'iai with my older brother, Kanakalau Kapalili.
Mahalo.
Aloha.